Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're looking at 10 of the best weapon fusions in The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. But before we dive in, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Muddlebud arrows. Sometimes the best offense is a confused enemy. Muddlebud arrows, crafted by combining muddlebuds with an arrow, are perfect for simplifying group encounters. On impact, these arrows now come equipped with the confusion effect from the muddlebuds, and release an intoxicating odor which will disorient your foes and cause them to attack each other. It's an absolute lifesaver when managing large groups, allowing you to pick off isolated enemies or simply watch them fight each other in front of you. It makes me particularly happy watching a boss bokoblin wipe out all of his little minions. You can find tons of muddlebuds in the depths, or trade pose for them at bargainer statues. Silver Boko Reaper. For raw and easily accessible damage, look no further than the Silver Boko Reaper. You can fuse a Silver Bokoblin Horn, which comes with a solid 31 fuse attack power, with a variety of weapons. One of the best is the Gloom Sword at 41 base damage. Together, you'll have a pretty damn powerful weapon able to dish out a whopping 72 damage per hit. If you don't want to deal with the Gloom effect, fusing the Silver Bokoblin Horn to other swords is still well worth it. Once you've defeated enough enemies like the other bokoblins, the silver variants will start to appear, and their horns are actually a pretty common resource. This makes the Silver Boko Reaper, or blade using a two-handed weapon, one of the easiest high-damage options to acquire. Homing arrows. Tired of missing those pesky flying enemies, or is your aim just plain terrible in general? That's what Keese eyeballs are for. Attach one to any arrow and they'll become homing, so they'll magically hit whatever you're aiming at with no effort, and with a high chance of being critical. It's pretty ideal for enemies like Arakudas or multi-part bosses such as Gleeoks and Flux Constructs, where you've got to be a bit more precise. While incredibly helpful for single targets, they can be a bit problematic in group fights, so use them with care so that you don't accidentally keep hitting the wrong enemy. Ice Spears. If you want to trivialize your fights in Tears of the Kingdom in the most simple manners possible, control is king. That's why you'd want to try ice weapons, especially spears for longer range. By fusing an icicle or appropriate monster part to a spear, you create a long-range weapon that can immobilize enemies on hit, which is just incredibly useful for staying alive. It not only gives you a bit of breathing space, but freezing enemies also doubles the damage of your next attack. All in all, the ice spears are just really useful weapons that you can use to make some pretty insane combos with. Spiked Iron Ball Hammer. Armored enemies can be a pain, but the spiked Iron Ball Hammer makes them easy. It's one of the most powerful fusions in the game. Fuse a spiked Iron Ball with a Royal Claymore, or any other two-handed weapon, and you'll get a blunt instrument of mass destruction. Kidding, but it's really good at dealing with armored enemies. While its base damage is just barely decent in comparison to other weapons on here, its main importance is in its ability to shatter armor to set up your more damaging slashing attacks. It's pretty much an early game essential. Eightfold Blade. The Eightfold Blade is especially amazing for its capacity to deliver absolutely devastating sneak strikes. But you can go even further and amplify this into ridiculous levels by fusing it with high damage materials. Fusions using silver monster parts, or bones in combination with the evil armor set, significantly boost its damage output, allowing you to take out high health enemies in just a few hits. Crucially, they also synergize incredibly well with the blade's passive ability, which will turn your already big sneak strikes into one-shot attacks for most enemies. For an easily acquirable 8-fold blade, simply go to the Aquame Lake Well and grab one stuck in the dummy. Captain 3 Reaper. As you explore the game, you'll inevitably come face to face with the Construct enemies, but their horns are actually invaluable. You see, the Captain Construct 3 horn actually adds quite a lot of attack power when fusing. Combine it with a strong or mighty Zonite sword, which gains a damage bonus when fused to Zonai materials, and you forge the Captain 3 Reaper. This fusion has an excellent base damage and a scaling bonus, but you don't even have to fuse it. You may actually find it in treasure chests in locations like the Construct Factory and the Wind Temple. It should be mentioned as well that you can find and craft a more powerful version, but it's not quite as common as the Captain 3. Lightscale Trident. Although Mipha's Lightscale Trident only starts with a base damage of 22, that damage is doubled whenever it's wet. And just like other Zora weapons, that passive ability extends to whatever material you fuse to it. But there's also the benefit of having a longer range to stay safe in a fight. So, for example, if you fuse the strongest material in the game, a silver lynel saber horn, to the Lightscale Trident, and then get wet, damage output will reach an insane 154. The caveat of being wet makes it a bit less useful since it's an extra step, but if you aren't near water and it isn't raining, you can always use Sidon's Water Shield ability or throw a splash fruit at your feet to achieve maximum damage. Silver Lizal Blade. Now we're getting into some pretty mighty options. For sheer damage output and how relatively easy it is to acquire, the Silver Lizal Blade is tough to beat. The Silver Lizalfos Horn offers a hefty 34 fusion damage, so it's one of the most potent fuse materials in the game. Even when fused to common weapons like a broadsword or a moblin arm, this horn will make their damage output significantly higher, even able to push them past 50 attack power. But fuse it with a Royal Guard's Claymore variant, and you're looking at godlike damage numbers from a fairly consistent enemy drop. Silver Lynel Blade. There is one similar fusion to the Silver Lizal Blade, but better, the Silver Lynel Blade. Fusing a Silver Lynel saber horn to a weapon adds a whopping 55 fusion damage. You can fuse it with any two-handed sword to get the blade variation, but if you fuse it with a Royal Guard's Claymore, the damage will absolutely explode when the weapon is about to break, thanks to the sword's passive ability, Breaking Point. And if you want to be a bit more resourceful, you can have Pelison and Terrytown dismantle it before it fully breaks, so you can save the horn to use again. There's also the Silver Lynel Reaper using the horn and Urbosa's Scimitar of the Seven. Gerudo weapons double the damage from any fused material, making this variation reach an impressive 138. And those were 10 of the best weapon fusions to dominate the enemies of Hyrule. But which ones are your go-to favorites? Let us know in the comments down below, and we'll see you next time.